Hello, everyone, and welcome to this special live stream with the one and only Luisa Cunha. I'm so excited to have her here to share with us her incredible journey to a match. Luisa Cunha just matched this week into Pediatrics for residency in the United States, so we're super proud of her. I want to ask you guys to join me in congratulating Luisa for this huge, huge accomplishment, incredible milestone. So, Lisa, thank you so much for joining this special live stream to share with everyone your journey to the match. Let's start off with a quick round of introduction. Where are you from? Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? And then I'm going to ask you questions to understand every little piece of your application and how you got to this incredible success. Congratulations and a quick introduction, please.
Hey, thank you, Henderson. Thank you to everyone on the meta-analyses team. I know how you guys work hard, and thank you for everyone who's watching. So I was born and raised in São Paulo, and I did all my medical school in Santos at Faculdade de Ciências Médicas de Santos, and I graduated in 2023. And since then, I've been working in emergency departments, and while finishing the match process, the USMLE process, which is really long. I've been doing it since my 30th year of medical school, and now that's all I wanted to. That's all that I wanted to happen, the match, and it finally did.
Crazy that it comes down to like one day, one email, after, years and years preparing for this. So
Yeah.
it's
Hmm.
pretty insane. Luisa, let's start from the very beginning. You said third year medical school, you started thinking about residency in the United States. What motivated you to come to the United States and do residency here?
Well, I first heard about the possibility of being a resident in the United States around that time. It was 2020. It was the pandemics had just started, and someone very close to me at the time told me about it, and I wasn't making any plans at the time. I was just living day to day in my medical school with my friends, studying. Everything was okay, and I wasn't thinking that far ahead until the third year. And then along the pandemic, I started researching, watching videos, watching your content, Rhanderson, since that time, and it started. It slowly became I started to realize it was actually a possibility, and that I could thrive there. I always liked to experience just life and work and voluntary things outside of my country, outside of my city. So I thought, why not,
The
just researching more about it. I started being more open about it, and then I spoke to my family, I spoke to my friends, and by the end of 2020, I decided that, okay, I'm gonna give it a try. I'm gonna study for step one. I was already aware of of the path of all the steps that I had to take for it to become a reality. So I decided to start, and I was thinking, hey, if it doesn't work out, like, I'm studying, um, I'm not losing anything by doing this. It's okay. Let's just start. And I just started. That's it. I just started. And then I studied for step one for a long time. Like, you do not need to study that long, but it took me like a year and a half. But like, the pandemics played a role on that. It actually helped me study. But then suddenly school came back, and everything was messy. So you absolutely don't need a year and a half to have to study for step one, but that's what I did. And
So
and then
one question I have for
yeah.
you. I see a lot of students who want to come to the United States. Well, a lot of the meta-analysis academy students wants to come, and people ask me questions. And it's common for people to have uncertainties. And I myself struggled for 2 years deciding if I was going to come or not. And
Mhm.
because, one day you would go to sleep and I would be more comfortable, more confident that I would come. The next day I would, be back to square zero, but there's my family, there's
Exactly.
all these things. So I think I want to reassure people that it's totally normal to have these ups and downs, in your willingness to come. And was that the same with you? Did it take some time for you to adjust to the idea?
Absolutely. That's exactly what happened. Like I was not ready to say like, "Hey, I am definitely going to do this, and that's what I'm gonna do, and that's it." I wasn't at that point. But when I decided to start studying, so actually started studying before being 100% confident. Because if I kept waiting for that confidence to be set in, I just wait like longer, more years, and like I was almost a half a year just thinking about it and sleeping on it, and then I say, well, that's enough. I better think while I'm doing things, right? So I just started doing it while I was thinking this is fine. I read a lot of people online saying that, hey, you need to be absolutely sure before you start, because it's like it's hard work, and yes, it's hard work, it's expensive, it's tiring, it is, but it shouldn't stop you from starting, from giving that first step, maybe starting that first bureaucracy, just check sponsors note if your medical school is there, start the CFMG, the application.
One step at a
that
time.
that
Yes.
first little step, you don't have to be
Yeah.
absolutely sure. That's okay.
One step at a time. Absolutely. Luisa, how many interviews did you have?
I had 9 interviews.
9. That's great. That's really great. Now, of course, I'm not going to ask you to share your rank or your list, but are you excited for Friday? Are you excited to know where you're going to
I
land?
am excited. I am
Nice.
excited. I am scared a little bit, but I mean, it's just, I don't know. I don't even know how I'm feeling. But yes, I'm excited and happy, and everything's gonna be fine. It's already worked out. Like I already know that everything is okay because I matched. So I don't even know why I'm scared, but I am.
No, you will do great. I'm so happy for you. So I just want you to give a general overview of your application and the different components. Then I'm going to start to ask questions about each one of them. Obviously, I don't want you to share. I don't want you to share your USMLE scores, but just we're going to go over each of the components. So in terms of of rotations, US clinical experience, how many did you do? How many rotations? Were they clerkships or were they observerships?
Mhm. So I was lucky enough to start the process while in medical school, and that's an advantage because that gives me the opportunity to do the clerkships, which you can only do at the last year of medical school. So I did 2 clerkships, no observerships. I only did those 2,
Where?
and one in January and one in December, both in the final year.
Where? What institutions?
The first one was in Emory in Atlanta, Georgia, and the second one was in Cleveland Clinic in Ohio.
You were in the winter in Cleveland. That must have not been easy. Okay. So, during those 2 rotations, I presume you got the letters of recommendations, correct?
Yes, I did. Mhm.
You got all 4 during 2 rotations. Is that right?
Yeah, actually, I have one letter. Like before going, I already spoke to a teacher from Brazil. Like, hey, can you do me a letter? Because just in case I don't get enough letters, I need one. So I got a teacher that really knew me to do one here. And then when I was in the clerkship, I tried to see how I could ask for it, like being close to one of the attendings, and that's just how it happened. And I ended up getting 2 out of the first one, 2 letters of recommendation out of Emory, and one out of Cleveland Clinic. Yeah,
Okay, so then you used the one from Brazil, one letter from Brazil. So you had 4.
yeah. So I got 4 in
Great.
total.
Nice. I want to talk about your research too, because you did really well with the rotations. I'm sure you got great letters of recommendations. But then I also know that you did extraordinarily well in terms of research. I'm going to share here with everyone the screen to show this publication here from Luisa. Luisa is first author here in the European Journal of Pediatrics. This is standard medical therapy with versus without nebulized magnesium for children with decompensated asthma. Luisa is first author, along with other students here. Some of the co-authors are students also of the Meta-Analysis Academy. So Lisa, this came at great timing. This came in June 2024, right before you applied for
Mhm.
residency. Do you think that the research was an important component of your application?
Absolutely, absolutely. I knew that research was an important component, and during medical school, I couldn't. Um, I was frustrated with the opportunities I had for research as a medical student. So I knew about Meta-Analysis Academy since the beginning, and I knew that I was going to do it, and I chose to do it at the most, like at the best possible time, which was when I was preparing, like just the year before of the match cycle, and it worked perfectly. I mean, I dedicated myself a lot so that this could happen. But I can't say how the mentoring and all the help from you, Randerson, and all the other people, how uh, that opened up just so many opportunities for me. And I can say now that I am capable of running my own meta-analysis. uh, we always need help to, it's good to have help, but with my knowledge, I'm able to run a meta-analysis on my own, and that's just amazing to say. And I was always asked about the projects and the articles
During the
in
interview?
my interviews.
Really? It came up?
Yeah,
What did
they
it,
came.
what did they ask?
They would say like, can you tell me more about this research that you're first author on, that one about the asthma in the pediatric population? Can you tell me more? How did you get to do these many research? Like that came up a lot of times.
No, this
So
is a
it was really important, and
this
yeah,
is a
don't neglect research. It's important, and it's important that it's in an international journal. It's important that it's well done. You don't you can't just like get whatever published at whatever place. You need to do it right in order to for it to work as it did for me and for so many other students.
this is a great publication. I mean, you have 12 RCTs, 2,484 children, and you published it in the European Journal of Pediatrics. This is a really reputable journal. And that's not her only publication. Luisa has 7 publications, including co-authorship in other publications as well with some other students of the Meta-Analysis Academy. So well done. Well done, Luisa. I'm sure this was an important component of the application. Let's talk a little bit also about uh, the uh, the interviews themselves. Like, what were they like? How comfortable did you feel in the interviews? Were there tough questions? Were there any difficult situations that you faced, or you felt really comfortable, given your background, given your research when you interviewed?
Well, I was mostly comfortable. Most of them were really nice, and I am an extrovert person, so it's probably easier for me than for people who are, more of an introvert. But I did have there were some difficult questions. Sometimes they would like to ask like, "What would you do in if this happened?" And then they would talk about like something weird happening at the hospital, something, and how would you handle this situation? And then I didn't have time to think. I had to to answer it quickly, and so those kind of questions were the hardest when they gave me like a scenario and how I would handle it. And
Yeah,
I had to just reply, like respond just quickly.
I hate those hypothetical scenarios, Drew, in interviews. I never know what to answer in them. That's a good.
Hmm.
No, that's
Yeah.
and um did you also had on research topic, you also had some abstracts accepted? I think I saw an abstract of yours accepted at the Endocrine Society meeting. Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I had an abstract accepted at the Endocrine Society, which was presented by Vanessa, my senior. And I also had that paper from the asthma in the pediatric population was also accepted uh, for a congress back in the beginning of 2024. But I wasn't able to go. There was just so many things happening at the time. I couldn't organize someone else from my group to go, so I didn't manage to go there. But I had two accepted in total.
So among all the things that we talked about, the research and the USMLEs, the rotations and getting the letters, which one of these or other components was like the hardest part for you? Were there any particular parts of the application that you just found really tough?
Well, you mean the application itself or just the whole process?
The whole process as a whole, like studying for the steps or getting the research,
Mm-hmm.
anything that was particularly difficult for you?
Mm-hmm. I think the most difficult was to maintain, to keep the pace, to just be resilient and not lose sight of the end goal. Because it's like you always say, and everybody always say, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, and it's just very easy to lose sight of what you're doing because you're studying so much, and it's not like there's only studying. You still have a life, so you have to manage your life as well as that, all of that. So and it's long, so years go by, and sometimes you don't see the results yet because it takes like the match itself only takes only comes like now. Uh so a lot of times I couldn't see like where I was going, and I had to step back and like relax and like see everything that I did, that everything was working out, and I just had to wait, and the results were gonna come eventually. But it's hard to it's I think the hardest for me was to keep sight of this in the difficult moments that we all have.
I understand. Guys, if you want to leave questions for Luisa, please feel free to leave in the chat here. We'll have some time for questions to ask whatever you think is pertinent and important to you. So, Luisa, I want to ask you also, about pediatrics as a specialty. Like, why pediatrics? How long has it been since you know you were going to do pediatrics? What do you see as like the major advantages of the specialty? Maybe people are considering it as well.
Mhm. I started considering pediatrics even before I decided to go for the USMLE route. I did some voluntary experiences in medical school, um, with indigenous communities, and we would take part in recreation, in just playing with the kids and um, teaching them about health and basic health, basic health. And I noticed that I am very patient with children and also with their families. And later in university, as we started to see real patients and talk to real families, real moms and dads, I could see that my peers and even my teachers didn't have that much patience with the mothers and fathers. Like they would think they were boring, and like, oh, they ask too many questions. And I was always like, that's okay. Let's just explain it again. Like, just explain in another way. I'm totally fine with that. And I think that's the main thing that made me think, hey, I'm actually, maybe I can actually do this, and I might actually be good at this just because I'm patient, and I can explain in a way that I can bond with the families. So
Yeah.
that's why I thought it would be a good route for me.
Good. I'm glad you see that connection with the specialty. That's important. So Guilherme left a question in the chat. He asked how many letters. We talked about that. You had 4 letters of recommendations. I'm going to expand on Guilherme's questions and ask you for advice on how to get strong letters. You did really 2 great rotations, Emory and Cleveland Clinic. Were those
Mhm.
both in pediatrics? Is that right?
Yes,
Okay.
both in pediatrics.
So what was it like, and just some feedback or some advice for folks who are listening on how you did so well and how you got excellent letters of recommendation so that they can also apply in their own career?
Mhm. Okay, so I was absolutely like the person who's asking the question. I didn't know anything how it was going to be before going there. So I just followed your advice, Randerson, which was like in clerkships, you have to be on time. It doesn't matter if you're the best if you're not on time. Like that's gonna be super bad, super, that's not gonna be good. So just be on time, be the first to arrive, be the last to go back home. Ask questions, look interested. You have to show them that you're interested, that you're available to do. So that's what I try to do since day one. I just showed up. I asked questions. I asked like how can I help? Can I do this? Can I maybe get another patient? Was this case presentation okay? How can I improve? So people would see that I am interested in what I'm doing, that I'm trying to do my best. I was actually trying very hard to do my best. So and
That's
I
that's
tried to bond as much as I could with the residents and the teachers, so that they would accept doing writing me a letter, and it worked.
This is all great advice. I want to emphasize some points here. The bonding part that Luisa mentioned, like it really is helpful to build a connection, a real connection with the people in the rotation. And I don't mean necessarily to hang out with them, after work. What I mean is like in the hospital, it's like really show a genuine interest in them and their career, in being helpful to the team. It goes a long way. People, one of our students, Sarah, who's an anesthesiologist, she has a quote that I really like. She says, "When you leave the rotation, people should miss you. They should say, 'Oh man, I'm sure when Luisa left, they were probably like, oh man, it was so much better when Luisa was here.'" So like you have to make the environment better. You have to help the team. You have to show a genuine interest in the people there. And I love the advice about feedback too. If you do a presentation of a case, just ask for feedback at the end. Ask the resident, ask the attendee. You really have to show a lot of interest, and asking feedback is a great way of doing that. When you
Something
ask,
else I did, sorry, no,
no,
just something else that I did was I kept in touch. Like as you said, not once. I didn't hang out with them after work, not once, but I bonded with them as I could in the hospital. And after I was back in Brazil, I kept in touch via email. Every time I'd publish something, I would email them and say, what do you think about this? Oh, I remember about that time we talked about this subject, and now I published this article about this. What do you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. And I think they like that. And something else that I like to comment is that in one of my interviews, the person who was interviewing me was an endocrinologist. And the first clerkship I did was in endocrinology. And she had done her fellowship at Emory, which was where I went as a clerkship. And she said that she met and she had a contact with the people that wrote my letters, and they talked about me. So that's great. Like I'm glad that they even remembered me after 2 years, and they did, because I try to keep in touch as much as I can, like once every few months, sending an email with the residents. There's one resident there that while I was there, he was still a resident, and he said, "Hey, next year I'm gonna be chair. I'm gonna be the chair. So just here's my email. I'll write you a letter of recommendation." So I have him on Instagram and everything, but just because he was a resident at the time, so I still have that contact. So those were really important. I think maybe these connections made all the difference.
yeah, they definitely help. They definitely help. Guilherme had also asked how many abstracts and publications, just to go over this again. Luisa, guys, she had 7 publications, which is it's above average for people applying for pediatrics. So she had 7 publications, including this great one here on the screen in the European Journal of Pediatrics. This is a meta-analysis comparing standard medical therapy with versus without nebulized magnesium. Luisa, just as a parenthesis here, do you want to share with the group how you learn how to do meta-analysis like this? Some people may be wondering, I
Absolutely.
forgot someone asked here about, do I need to do a research fellowship? You didn't do a research fellowship,
I
and
didn't. I didn't.
you published all these papers. Can you walk people on how you did that,
Yeah.
through how you did that?
So I knew that I had to publish in a great number and in great quality in a relatively short period of time. So I followed Rhanderson from a long time ago. So I was confident uh, that he had the means to help students to do this. I saw so many students before me being able to publish even more studies than I did, and I just trusted. I just trusted him that through the Meta Analysis Academy, I would gain the knowledge I needed to make it happen. and it's absolutely true. I mean, I remember before getting into the program, the Meta-Analysis Academy, I would talk about it to everyone I knew, and like people who are not in the field, they don't know anything about our research or about the medical field, and they were like, "You're too excited about this. Like, are you sure? Are you sure this is real? Are you not? You know?" Are you sure? I'm like, I am sure it's gonna work. I'm gonna dedicate myself, and it's gonna work. And then they
Is it?
saw that it actually worked. They saw me publishing. So with the Meta Analysis Academy, I learned from step 0 to step 10 how to conduct a systematic review on my own. Like I can be the leader and just ask for help in minor parts of the projects to other people, but I can conduct it on my own. And then I also did the mentorship program, which was a year that I had my mentor, which the mentors are people who have lots of experience with beta analysis, and that person helped me, individually. We had a WhatsApp group, and we had weekly meetings to talk about my project. So and it was also someone that whenever I kind of stopped doing things, they would say, "Hey, come on, the project. What are you at the project? Let's go." So it was really good for me, and it worked out perfectly well, and it was a great investment. Like, I can't say that enough. If you have the time, and if you're willing to dedicate yourself to do it, you should do it. Like, you can't just expect Rhanderson to do everything. He won't. If you
Yeah.
do your part, he will do his. The course and the mentorship and everything will do their part, and it was great. Yeah.
It's so grateful to hear that, Lisa, and I'm so happy to see that you're doing very well. So, guys, if you're interested in the Meta Analysis Academy, I put the link here in the chat. We'll put a QR code with this as well. So the link will be in the description below. You can join our wait list, and then we'll sign you up for the next edition of the program. Luisa, there is a message here from Anna, your cousin. Anna said, "Hey, Luisa, what is the hardest time for you? What was the most difficult time during your match journey?"
Okay. Hi Anna. Hello. So I think the most difficult moment was in 2020 through 2022, before I was studying for step 2, because as I said, it was easy to lose sight of the end. When is this gonna end? When is all this sacrifice is going to pay off? When I'm gonna see the results? And in that time, I was not able to see this at all. So it was really hard, and I still had to study for step 2 because I was running out of time. I only had until July to finish it because I had to apply in September. So it was just I had not much. I didn't have much time, and I was struggling, and it was really hard. It was really hard. A hard few months that got there, but I got through it through my family, uh, through my friends, through my boyfriend, my sister, my dogs. I had to rely on everybody and everything that loved me. I had to rely on them to continue to keep sane, because it's those times when it starts to get difficult, and you can't stop. You can stop, and it's still difficult. You need to rely on your safety net, on the people you trust, and that's what I did, and that's how I got out of there, and everything turned out okay.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned a really important word earlier on, which is resilience. You just have to understand that in the journey, there will be hard days. You won't always be at your best in terms of your motivation. Now, I think motivation is important to get started, but what's important for you to finish is not so much motivation, but it's really discipline. Like, you have to have the discipline to keep going and push forward even when things are hard. And if you do that and you follow a path that you know that that is consistent, you will achieve this result that
Exactly.
Lisa did as well. I think persistence and discipline are really key in this journey. I mean, it's years. Someone asked here in the chat, how long did you take to study for step 1? You said 1 year and a half. What were your resources like, Lisa? What would you recommend? People always have that question.
I think the best tip for this, for people who are just starting, is just take time to plan to plan how you're going to study and for how long. So the resources I used are the resources that everyone used. I didn't imagine things. I didn't go through a different route. No, it's UWorld, Emboss, Anki, Pathoma, Sketchy Micro. I think and Emboss. You can do Emboss if you want, but the most important are UWorld, Anki, Pathoma, Sketchy Micro. I think those are the most important ones. And it's not hard to see that. And wherever you look online, there's gonna be those resources over and over again. It's because they are the best, and that's the ones you should follow. And if you do them religiously, it's gonna work out. It's gonna work out. Just have to be persistent. You're not gonna be as motivated as you are on the first day, like after a year and a half. You are not, but you still have to do the same thing, even if you're not as motivated.
There's a great question here from Ka in the chat, who asks, you graduated December 2023, right? So it's been a year and a half since between graduation and starting residency, correct?
Yes.
1 year and a half. What did you spend? What did you do in that year before you applied? Like, you didn't do a research fellowship. I mean, you were working on your research. I showed your publications. Or you
Yeah.
also studying for step 2, or just working and doing research on the side?
So during the first 6 months of 2024, I was only studying for step 2 and doing research meta-analysis. I my Even my certification that allows me to work in Brazil got delayed for some bureaucratic reasons, so I couldn't even work, even if I wanted to, which was good because I don't think I could have handled working as well. So I was just studying and doing research for the first 6 months, and then I started after I applied in September. I started working and doing less research because I focused research to publish research before my application, so that all of my research would appear on my application. So then I started working to try to just to try to save some money for for the whole process, because everything is just so expensive. And so I've been working, and that's what I'm doing right now. I'm still working here.
Yeah, this is a great point that Luisa just mentioned, and I want to highlight this to everyone. If you want to do a residency in the United States, you know that the application is multifactorial. You have to pass step 1, get a good score on step 2. You have to do rotations, get letters of recommendations, and get research. A lot of these things you can do until the very last day that you apply. For example, you could get a letter of recommendation in the last month before you apply, and it doesn't matter if it was 1 month or 1 year ago. But with research, you can't do that. You can't leave it for the last minute. With research and publications, it takes time. Even if you do meta-analysis, which are really, really fast, like Luisa did, even then, you should allow yourself time to build up these publications. So a common mistake that people do is they wait until they finish everything, they get the letters, they do the USMLEs, and then it's like 3 months before they apply, and then they start thinking about research. So
Exactly.
you don't have to do that. I think it was Antonio who asked, how did you look up for research opportunities in the USA? She didn't, Antonio. This was done from her home country with autonomy, without having to do a research fellowship or spend time doing research in the United States. In fact, Luisa, was this your idea? This research publication, was this your idea?
It was mine as well, with a teacher from my medical school. We were discussing a case, and then I said, "Hey, isn't this discussion a good idea for a meta-analysis?" And he said, "I think it is," and it was.
Perfect. So this is what you can do with meta-analysis. You can do the research with autonomy, without having to depend on anyone else, or without at least having to depend on local factors like your ethics committee. You don't have to depend on recruiting patients. You don't have to call open patient charts. And this is exactly what we teach in the Meta-Analysis Academy. The Meta-Analysis Academy explains how you can do this step by step for you to do impactful research with autonomy to advance your career. Just because I mentioned this, I want to show really briefly the 10-step process of the Meta-Analysis Academy. So we teach developing ideas like Luisa did. We teach building the research question, the methods, the statistics, the writing of the manuscript, and the submission for publication. So it's 10 different modules that explain all these details. That's how Luisa learned. So you don't have to do a research fellowship necessarily. Very good. There was another question here in the chat, which is to discuss about your volunteer and work experience. Did you also have that volunteer experience in your CV?
Yeah.
Luisa?
I think two volunteer experiences that I had that came up a lot in the interviews were the one that I did during the first 3 years of medical school, which was I'd spent 10 days in an indigenous community. And it I got this through my medical school, so that's how I got it. But that was just a big one that I spent 3 years, participating in. And I had a lot of experience with children and with their families, and that came up like almost every interview. And the second one was clown therapy. Clown therapy, I think every single all of the 9 interviewers asked me that, like, what about clown therapy? Like they basically didn't see anyone doing it. And I think that's something easy for people to get into. If you're still in medical school, you can see if your medical school has a clown therapy group, or even hospitals. Or sometimes hospitals, even non-affiliated with medical schools, they might have that opportunity. It's fun. You can learn things, and people really like it on your CV. It came up a lot of times.
Yeah, I think that for those volunteer experiences, I think you just have to check the box. It's important that you do that. You don't. There's a certain limit on how much it'll help you. Like if you do a lot,
Yeah.
there's
Mhm.
there's diminishing returns, but it's definitely important to have some volunteer experience, like Luisa described.
I think it was more important to make a conversation more than yeah, I don't think they chose me for that, but it was a good for the conversation in during the interview and for them to know me as a person. But if you're short on time, there are definitely other things that you should focus more to build your CV, which are the research projects and getting good scores on the steps, because without the scores on the steps, you're just not going anywhere, basically. So those have to be your priorities.
Yeah, I agree. In terms of hierarchy of importance, you have to do the basics and everything. You have to pass step one, the first attempt. You have to get good letters of recommendations, write a good personal statement. But what will make you stand out is really either the step two score or research and publications or both. Like those two things are by far the most important thing that can help you guys stand out. So it's important that you do well in the USMLE and also to do research like Luisa did. Very good. Excellent. So, Luisa, what comes next for the next 3 months? That's an important question. You have to get rest because you're going to start first year intern in pediatrics soon. But what are the plans
Mhm.
for April, May, and June?
I actually don't know. I was trying to like this week after Monday, I was like, I'm just not gonna think about anything. I'm just gonna live through this week, and just next week I start thinking again. So I don't really know, but I think I'm gonna try and enjoy my time here with the people I love here. I'll try to travel around Brazil, like close with my friends and family. Um, I might start studying for step 3 because I know that's something I'll have to do this year, but I'm not sure yet. But those are the most important things. I'll start arranging things for to move there, and also enjoy my time here with the people I love. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great advice. I'm gonna at some point in May or April or May, I'm gonna talk to our students from the Meta-Analysis Academy who matched. You're going to get an invitation. We're going to have a small group meeting where I'm going to share my thoughts. And essentially, you got to get some rest. And then there are some things that you can do to prepare yourself for residency. And I don't necessarily mean study and read about pediatrics, because you're going to have a lot of time to do that in your residency. But there are some things like, for example, there's a really great book that I recommend that every resident who matches reads. It's called The White Coat Investor, so people can get financial education about the United States system. So it's a great time to relax, to travel, to spend time with family, but then you can get these bits and pieces of knowledge that will also be very, very important for you in your residency journey. So check it
Yeah,
out,
yeah, yeah.
The White Coat
I
Investor.
will.
It's a good,
Okay.
book for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I will.
All right, guys. So this is the incredible, successful journey of the match of Luisa Cunha. Let me just look in the chat to see if I haven't missed any questions here. Um, Antonio asked, how did Luisa come up with this idea? In the Meta-Analysis Academy, we teach students in class number 1 how to develop ideas. That's how Luisa learned. She then was talking with her professor over a case, and she realized that there was controversy in this topic. We teach this in the Meta-Analysis Academy, and then she made an idea out of this. I didn't realize Vanessa was here. Vanessa is also matching to pediatrics. Vanessa is also from the Meta-Analysis Academy, and she also matched into pediatrics. There's an epidemic of pediatricians in the Meta-Analysis Academy. 3. There's Luisa, Vanessa, and Camila. I think we have 3 students from the Meta-Analysis Academy who matched into peds. So congratulations, Vanessa, to you, Luisa. It's been great to have you here sharing your journey with us. I am going to post one more time in the chat the link for the waitlist if anyone wants to join and do the same successful journey that Luisa did, that Vanessa did, that Camila did. Just click the link here and join the waitlist of the Meta-Analysis Academy. So congratulations, Luisa. Once again, thank you for sharing your very valuable insights. Enjoy, rest, celebrate, and then best of luck Friday, where you're going to find out exactly where you match.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rhanderson. Thank you for everybody in the team and everyone who's watching. Thanks so much.
All right, guys, have a good one. Thank you, Luisa. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.